Hi, this is Stephen Frew, and we're talking about the scaffolding of marriage, which is an idea about creating a context for change in marriage, for the transformational changes that need to happen if you're going to have a good till death do us part relationship. In other words, if the marriage is going to be sustainable in its quest for intimate connection, for a certain degree of happiness, for a certain degree of meaning coming to two people who intelligently partnered way in a world way back when, what we call the origin of love, and are still knowing how to connect and will know how to connect till the day till death do us part. So we want to look at the pieces of that. We have a couple podcasts already we've done about the pieces. Sometimes people say to me, Stephen, that's all sounding good and all that, but how do you do it? What are the competencies needed in order to move from elementary to transitional? What are the competencies needed to move from transitional to transformational? And what are the competencies needed to move from transformational to service? How does that work? Now, that's a very, very, very good question for me, and one I like to talk about, because competencies maybe are underaddressed. What we tend to do in psychological counseling, for want of a better term, is we tend to be based on the latest dilemma or the latest conflict. So we tend to focus around repetitive arguments or what's wrong with whom, who's at fault here, who's undermining. My friend Bruce Derman, who recently passed away, wrote a great title, and the title of the book was We'd Have a Great Relationship If It Weren't for You. He meant to point out that that deceit or that seduction of seeing what's wrong in my brother's, seeing the speck in my brother's eye and not seeing the 2x4 in my own, seeing what's wrong in my partner, not really taking 100% responsibility myself. So we've created a number of models, and we'll talk about them over the course of this series. But one I wanted to talk about this morning a little bit that give you kind of a taste for it. We call CAPS, CAPPS. CAPS stands for a strategy for going from emotional and psychological distance to intimate connection. We visualize it as a stairway. I have the graphic in my office, and we'll post it on the website so you can see it and download it if you'd like. But CAPS, the first letter, it's an acronym, right? We invented it. The first letter stands for curiosity. Now, if I want to go from elementary, us doing what the right thing is for the first 12 or 15 years, with our children, with our relationship, building our kingdom, taking care of our retirement funds, having a good residence, helping our children to get the job or the career or the college education they want, establishing a certain amount of stability between us. It's all beautiful. But that tends to go towards, hi honey, I'm home. What's for dinner? It tends to go towards repetition. And given enough time, two people will sort of get a little skeptical or even cynical about each other. They even make love in the same way, or the same day of the week, or the same evening. They tend to be repetitive. We want to break the repetitive patterns because they don't help us connect intimately. We want to break those up over and over and over again. Instead of saying, honey, I'm home, saying, honey, I'm not home. I don't want whatever you're cooking for dinner, I don't want it. What do you think of that, dear? Or whatever. We want to break up the mood of predictability if we want intimate connection. We want to have some fun with it, and we want to challenge it. Curiosity is the word for me. Curiosity, my friend in Santa Barbara, Gerd Giordano, is a wonderful, wonderful, elegant woman. And she says, Stephen, these are the two most important things, aphrodisiac for a woman. That means, she says, if you're curious about me, if you really want to hear me, if you really want to listen to me, that's where new life occurs. New life doesn't occur with repetitious, honey, I'm home behavior. So the challenge of being 40, 50, or 60 is to, first of all, resurrect the curiosity within you. You have curiosity about certain things, you have no curiosity about other things. So think of it about your partner. Who is this person, man or woman, that I'm living with, and what don't I know? And what would I like to know? And how? It's not curiosity that's designed to unmask their problem. It's curiosity that's designed to discover. It's more like, the image would be more like an archaeological dig. It's curiosity around who they really are and who they are becoming. That's C, right? We said CAPS, C-A-P-P-S. A is attentiveness. Now, if you're curious, it doesn't do you a whole lot of good if you're not paying attention. So if I say, well, what did you think about that movie? And my partner says, well, it was a little too loud for me, too much, this or that. I say, oh, yeah, well, I was out walking yesterday and I just dismiss it. Instead of that, I want you to say, wait, hold it, stop. Did you say that the violence was a problem? What did you mean? What was it about the violence? You said, I let my curiosity be informed by my attentiveness to what they say. There's another word for attentiveness. In psychology, we talk all the time about active listening. Attentiveness has to do with actively listening to what your partner says and feeding it back. Did I get you right? Did I understand what you just said? So you got curiosity, you have attentiveness. Attentiveness and active listening. That's C-A. P is your personal presence. A little different than attentiveness. It means that you're actually willing to be fully present in the moment, as Toll said in The Power of Now. He says it's living in the present moment. You bring your presence into your attentiveness and your curiosity. Your presence is not to be underestimated in terms of its power to affect intimate connecting, personal presence. That's C-A-P. The other P is persistence. That means that I don't do this in a hit and run manner. I don't do this like, okay, I asked her about that, that's done. I am persistently involved in my interest in discovering who my partner is. I'm persistent in that. It's not a game, it's not a technique that I indulge on Saturday afternoon for 15 minutes when we're having a drink at someplace. It's persistent in that in the morning, afternoon, and evening of our lives, I am staying present in my curiosity, and I'm persistent in that. And the fourth letter, S, is sincerity, but I really don't like that as much as I like genuineness. But I couldn't put a G at the end. C-A-P-P-G wouldn't work, but C-A-P-P-S does work. So sincerity, but I'm calling it genuineness. What's genuineness? Genuineness is that about us that no one can take away. Genuineness is that about us that people say, I get him, or I get her. Genuineness is what you'd stand up in front of 20,000 people and speak up for. Genuineness is when you're not on guard, when you're not performing, when you're not looking around to see the applause meter, but when you're just coming from your soul, from your very center, from your heart, and you bring that. Those things, curiosity, attentiveness, presence, persistence, and genuineness, are 5 techniques, you might say, but really 5 realities in supporting and enhancing your capacity to intimately connect with each other over time. And if you take those and apply them to each of the 4 phases, to elementary, to transitional, to transformative, and service, you'll soon see, you play with them tonight with your partner, you'll soon see how that works. Stephen Frew, thank you for listening.